So the Hodge twins did a video yesterday about the guy who was shot in St. Louis by the cops, who you can see is basically just standing around waiting for the cops to show up. And then as soon as the cops show up, he's like, shoot me, shoot me, shoot me, shoot me. And the Hodge twins have disabled the comments for the video they posted. If you go through the comments, I think you could see why. Because the majority of people completely disagree with their opinion of how the police handled the situation. There is a level of force, and there is a deadly force triangle that must be met before deadly force can be used. Now, I want to make this part clear. If you're the one carrying the gun, it is ultimately your decision to pull that weapon and use it. Nobody else's. There are rules put in place and training conducted to help you in that decision-making process when that happens. And you guys nailed it when you said, when you're in that moment, it's all going to happen much quicker. And that's why the training has to be so repetitive and so constant that it's more of a muscle memory reaction than you needing to really think about it to give the reaction that is adequate and necessary for the situation. I think the problem is that level of force may not have been adequately utilized. I agree that if a person is running at you with a knife and you have a gun, you are trained to pull that weapon and use it in defense of yourself or others. That's just the way it is. But I also think that if when you get up on a scene, the guy was just standing there waiting for you, and the cops should have seen that when they pulled up, because obviously somebody called them, yet the guy didn't run when the police vehicle showed up. He actually turned towards them and immediately began shouting, "Shoot me, shoot me." That would have made me rethink something if I was the officer showing up to the scene, because that's obviously what the person wanted, what the individual wanted to happen, happened. He got shot and killed. Everybody talking about, the officer should have shot him in the leg. I agree, but that's not what our officers are taught. You can look at, there's actually videos of incidents from overseas in different countries, Germany, where you'll see a guy pull a knife and the cop will just pull his gun out, shoot the dude in the leg, put his gun back, and then go arrest the guy. I mean, it happens a lot. I guess their training is different than ours, because that's definitely not what our police are taught to do. Our police are taught to shoot center mass. And maybe that training needs to change. I don't think it will, because you guys did make a valid point with the officer wanting to go home, but I think that you're not looking at every aspect of that. Yes, every officer wants to go home, but every officer is trained to protect the public, even the bad guy. That's their job. That's what they get paid to do. Would I have handled the situation differently? I don't know. I wasn't there. I would like to think that I would have. I would like to think that once we rolled up on the scene and saw the guy still standing there waiting for us, I would have said something to my partner that, hey, whoa, let's get a better idea of what's going on here. The guy had his hand in his pocket and they raised their weapons, which Yeah, you need to, because he definitely could have had a fucking gun in there. But he didn't run at them. He kind of walked towards them and then jumped up onto that not a barrier, but the raised portion, and kind of turned around and stood there for a little bit, all the while saying, "Shoot me," and then started walking towards one of them. And they both just unloaded on him. There's a video of an event that happened in New York City back in, I think, August of 2012, where there's a dude brandishing a gigantic knife in the fucking street in NYC, and there is at least a dozen cops on the scene, and they literally follow this dude for a while. He's in the middle of the street screaming and yelling, big ass knife, and they've all got their fucking weapons drawn on a busy New York street. Just people on the sidewalk. Everybody's recording. You can see tons of videos of this event. And they did not shoot. He approached multiple officers as he was going back and forth from walking away to walking back, and none of them shot him. It took a long time. If you watch a few of the videos, you'll see that they followed him for a long time before finally, and this part isn't on video, ironically, where he just got way too close to an officer and they shot him. So you have different police forces handling situations differently, where the training just shows that it's not all on the same page. And I'm pretty upset by the fact that you guys disabled comments for that video, and I guess that's probably the main reason why I'm making this. The events that have been unfolding in Ferguson, and then, this event as well, have shed light on a huge problem in our country. And to take this one event and to just pretty much blow it off like you guys did, that cop wants to go home. Okay, great. So does everybody. The guy was obviously mentally disturbed, as you pointed out, and I think the situation could have been handled differently. Was it handled wrong according to our laws? I don't think so. He had a knife, he approached an officer, and the officer shot him. It is pretty much cut and dry. But it needs to be looked at. We have officers using excessive force everywhere. Let's bust into a person's house and drop a flashbang in a fucking baby's crib because we have a search warrant. I think you guys need to look at the bigger picture instead of just taking one event. And I agree. If you just take this one event, maybe nothing was done improperly. But when you add it to the entire slew of events that happen on a daily basis, it shows a pattern and it shows a problem. You guys talked about how many officers are killed. I think you said one officer every 58 hours. Yeah, it's their job. That may be me oversimplifying, but their job is to protect the public. They know that they could be put in harm's way. They know that they will be put in harm's way during the course of them performing their duties. Same thing for the military, same thing for firefighters. It's the way it is. And I think that you guys maybe shouldn't have disabled the comments and maybe need to make another video. Maybe elaborating more on this subject to help your viewers out, because it's definitely the first video you guys have posted that I completely fucking disagreed with. I agree with some individual parts, but I disagree with the oversimplification and the basically overlooking of the greater problem that we have between police and civilians and their use of authority and deadly force in given situations. Just my thoughts. Peace.